Welcome back, and today we're going to talk about the stud series arrow by Darkhorse Archery. Fill you guys in a little bit on some of the features of this arrow and the benefits related to those features. So here she is in all her glory, the stud series. Many of you guys, the first time you opened your boxes, were blown away by how good this arrow looks. And that's really in part to what we call the square weave carbon fiber that we use on the exterior of the arrow. It's actually made up of two different types of carbon fiber. The interior layers of the arrow are actually made of what's called a unidirectional carbon fiber. And that's what most arrows are made of today. Most of them that's all they use in the construction. It's 100% unidirectional carbon fiber. And to make a really good unidirectional constructed arrow, you have to pay real close attention to how the fibers are oriented and change the layup accordingly to get the results that you're after. Now, the results that any arrow manufacturer is really trying to key in on is consistent spine. That's what makes a truly accurate arrow, is how consistent does this arrow flex 360 degrees around its surface. And that's really where the square weave carbon fiber shines. The reason I can say that is if you were to compare the two in a spine testing machine, one that's made exclusively of unidirectional carbon fiber and one that incorporates square weave like the stud series, the difference is night and day with how consistent the spine of this particular arrow is compared to others. Now, the reason for that is due in part to the fact that you have hundreds, if not thousands, of these interlocking intersections of these bundles of carbon fiber. Now, what that creates is each little intersection, it responds to the forces your bow exerts on the arrow in a predictable manner. And that's what you need. That's the consistency you need to have an arrow that's going to hit the same spot every time. So that's what really makes the square weave an outstanding choice on an arrow for great flight characteristics, and certainly durability is another thing that it lends itself really well to. The other thing we paid particular attention to when we were working on the design of this arrow was paying attention to the front of center characteristics of an arrow. Now, a lot of you guys have probably read a little bit about this, have heard about it. Basically what that means in simple terms is having additional weight up front on the arrow, and that gives more leverage to the steering end of your arrow, the back end of your arrow, and does a number of other things too, actually. But the payoffs are this. For hunting situations, you have increased penetration. For long range shots, again, your accuracy is increased. So that's one of the things we did with this arrow, and you'll notice that the front end of our arrows have a slightly smaller internal diameter than the back end of the arrows. And that's because there is a taper inside to accommodate extra material on the front end of your arrow, the first 12 inches, in fact. So aside from those other benefits that we mentioned, is a result of good front of center, also is recovery off the string. Now, many of you guys, you've seen the slow motion footage, and that arrow, when it comes off the string, it's wagging back and forth. They call that archer's paradox. Well, by having a stiffer front section, it allows that arrow to recover much faster from those initial forces and settle into real stable flight. So that's exactly what you want in an arrow. So these are some key things. The components we've included with the arrow actually play up on the front and center of an arrow. The inserts themselves are slightly heavier than standard inserts at 16 grains. The back end, the knock, is again lighter than average at 10 grains. So it really kind of helps to produce the desired qualities that all of you would want in an arrow. The 340s are a nice weight. They're not too heavy, they're not too light. They come in at about 8.9 grains per inch. My hunting arrow is just a hair under 400 grains. So it's a great application for that. The 400 spine arrow comes in at 7.2 grains per inch, and the 500 comes in at 6.2. So again, all of those arrows with an advantage in the front of center department and the square weave, they come together to make an outstanding arrow. We know many of you have found that, and if you haven't had the chance to try them, you should really check them out.